Hola, mis amigos. How are you today? So we've had a lot of new subscribers lately. So Jennifer and I, we just want to introduce ourselves. My name is Daryl, and this is my lovely wife, Jennifer.
Hola.
Welcome to our YouTube channel, guys. So in this episode today, we're going to talk about our May monthly budget, and I'll let my lovely wife take it away.
Hi guys, so we're looking at May's budget. It was a doozy, but we had a yearly expense. Our car insurance came out this month, and then we had car maintenance, which was also pretty expensive, a little too expensive for my liking. So we've been taking it to Dodge because I'm worried about
Warranty.
Right. and what it would, if we took it somewhere else, if the warranty would still be valid. So I have to look into that because Dodge is charging way too much for a service. So I'll just tell you the grand total was 59,562 pesos. We're talking about May 2023 budget today. It was a doozy, but that's because we had some infrequent expenses. For example, we had our car insurance was due this month, and that's only paid once a year, and that's almost 9,000 pesos just in itself. And then we also had car maintenance, which is not typically done in a month. I would estimate we do it maybe every 3 months. I did change the format of how I'm doing the budget this month. I've talked about doing that before for the main reason I feel it accurately reflects what we spend in a month, but not where we're spending that money in a month. So for example, if I did not spend anything on personal purchases, which was typical, it would then get funneled into different areas. What those areas were, wherever I was lacking, typically groceries or dining out, or what some people call the latte factor. It went wherever it went, I don't know. So we'll just talk about the total. So 59,562 pesos in total. But again, because of those higher expenses, I want to point out the groceries were only 7,880 pesos, which was excellent. We wanted to get down under 8,000 pesos and we did it, so good on us. And we did that by going to the market. We talked about that on our last budget video. So at the market we spent 1,500 pesos and we sent over 3,000 pesos at the grocery store for the month, and that brought us under 8,000 pesos. But I am pretty confident we can get the grocery store prices down. We have to manage our time a little bit better because we've decided only to go down to the downtown market when we need meat, and then when we're there we'll get the vegetables that we need as well. But that means that we're running out of vegetables before meat. And in the month of May, we supplemented our vegetables at the grocery store, which we know were too expensive because we just didn't have time to go to these smaller markets nearby and get fruits and vegetables from there. So I know we can bring that 3,000 pesos down. Now the mess that you're looking at, it was truly a mess. My idea was to just take out cash when I needed it and spend it, and then keep track of where that money was going. Well, it was very difficult to keep track. I mean, I've got the bank card when I need it. I've got receipts when I remember it. I can only write down what we spend at the market because you don't get receipts. So, and then some of it came from memory. So this is very inaccurate way of presenting this budget, and it did not work. And it ended up being a difference of 4,000 pesos between what I took out of the bank and what I accounted for on the budget. So sure, part of that's going to be part of your latte factor that I talked about earlier. Some of it can be attributed to the money I donate at church and every week, but it's certainly not adding up to 4,000 pesos. So we have to bring our spending under control, particularly because in the month of May I had zero income. So this just won't do. I need to come up with, we did this in Canada, we had X amount of dollars, I budgeted every single dollar and we didn't go over. So I don't know why we're having difficulties with that here in Mexico, and it's just kind of gone out of control. We do have an extra expense, excuse me, that we've never seen before, and that would be Spanish classes. We've started taking Spanish classes. Now we spent almost 6,000 pesos on Spanish classes, but they won't be as high as that every month. What we're doing is group classes. So if you buy a month in advance of group classes, which is twice a week, at 100 pesos per class. So if you have 4 weeks in a month, that's 8 classes. 100 pesos per class, that's 800 pesos per person for 1 month. Daryl started his course like they're in the middle of learning, and he's starting from square zero. So we got him some extra private classes to try to bring him up to speed for May and June. But after that, we'll just stick with the group classes for a while. I mean, it's going to get costly, but I mean, I think we're benefiting from it. And we'll supplement on our own learning. So that was extra. Happy with the groceries. I kind of split it out here. Monthly musts, like we're gonna have to pay rent every month. We're gonna have to buy food every month. And I split it up to, things that we pay as needed, like the vet is maybe not monthly, but as needed. And I'm gonna be paying those online. And then, we go down to less frequent as we go down the list. We did spend some extras on Amazon this month. We've been pretty good, but I wanted some Spanish learning books, and we did take a trip to Playa del Carmen for the weekend. Friends of ours drove, so we had no gas expense for that trip. And instead I just paid for the Airbnb, which was 1,000 pesos in total, like just under 1,000 pesos. And then we did some, you can call it an excursion, but we kind of just, rented our own scooters and went on the ferry. So that's what's included in that. Now, gas was only 500 pesos. I don't really understand how that happens, because it takes at least approximately 800 pesos or less to fill a tank. So what I'm thinking is I had some gas money left over from the month before, and I just took 500 pesos plus what was left over to pay for the gas. So we expected to be spending a lot more in gas, so this is quite a big surprise. I mean, it's never going to be that low again, so it's probably going to be, I'm expecting 2 tanks of gas, and that this budget only reflects 1 tank of gas, so don't really know why. So yeah, I'm not really sure how, moving forward, how we're gonna bring our spending in line. Looking forward to June, what I've been doing is trying to spend as much as I possibly can using the bank card rather than cash, though I do have cash on hand. But that's not going to control spending, but I'll at least have a record, hopefully, of where the money is going if I can understand their codes in the bank statement. Okay, so that's our May budget. Give us our thoughts. Give us your thoughts, and please give us some ideas on how you control your spending. Again, we had no trouble doing it in Canada. I don't really understand why it's an issue here in Mexico. I am working, so there at least, you know, it's not going to be like a month like May, but okay, guys, so that's the May budget. Please give us your ideas on how to control spending. How do you control your spending? We had no problems with doing that in Canada. I'm not really sure what our problems are in Mexico. I have had some questions from some people regarding working online, and I've kind of avoided this topic for the main reason, well, we always talk about things on this channel from our experience. So nobody's going to have the exact same experience that we do, and I'm not going to really talk about, you know, how other people earn their money while they're in Mexico, because I'm not doing it their way. I always say that we come to you in these videos from a place of our personal experience, what we did, how we did it, etc. And there's no way that you can duplicate what we did for work. I just want to preface by saying I don't trust anybody or anything, nothing. I don't trust people. I don't trust the internet. I don't trust TV. There's nothing that I trust. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I want to preface is I'm a planner. I've got to think about things, I got to chew on them, and I got to plan for it. And Daryl is very much fly by the seat of your pants. So just keep those things in mind, and as I go on with this. So I want to say that we could not have moved to Mexico, even with a job, if we had not put the legwork in 5 years previous. So before we even knew we were moving to Mexico, the legwork to do so was set in place. We decided that we were going to stop spending. We didn't need any more stuff. We had enough stuff. And we were going to become debt-free. So there was those 5 years, I wouldn't call them lean years. We had more than enough money for our bills and our food and everything else, but I budgeted every dollar that we have so that I could bring down our debt. There were times that we would go over budget, sure, but the budget was always focused on, and it was written down. So, you know, I'd written down everything that we owed and the amount that was owed on it. And then a friend introduced me to debt stacking. So you write all your debts down, how much you owe, and then you start working on the lowest one. So say that's a credit card, you owe $5,000 on a credit card. So any extra money in that budget that month goes on that credit card to pay it down. Now, I would always have a monthly sum. So say, okay, every month this credit card gets $100 paid on it. So $100 and it has to be more than the minimum payment, obviously. So let's just say, okay, $100 every month, and anything extra is getting put on that card, not anything else up here, but it's getting on that card until you pay it off. Now that's paid off, great. You move to the next one. Maybe it's a line of credit. Now you've got that monthly, say your monthly payment on your line of credit is $300, and that's coming off. You've got your $100 here, $300 here, and whatever these monthly payments are of all your debt. So now this credit card payment that you're paying $100 on every month, now you don't need to pay that anymore. That's not money in your pocket though. That's money going to the rest of your debt. So now the $300 you were paying on this becomes $400 a month. And then you just keep stacking that. So now line of credit jumps off. Okay, now maybe you have a car loan. Maybe that was $20,000 you owned on the car. So now you have an extra, the line of credit's gone, the credit card's gone. Now you got an extra $400 on a car loan. That's like an extra payment. Okay, so the first 5 years are the hardest. So the first thing to get paid off, probably the hardest. But then it just snowballs. And within that, like in that last year, everything got paid off. Well, nearly everything. It wasn't until we sold our house that the last of things got paid off because, you know, the mortgage. So that was put in place before we even moved. So if we had not been debt free coming to Mexico, I don't think it would have happened. If you sell everything you own and you just pay off all the debts and you're at zero, you're not anywhere ahead of yourself. You're at zero. Like, good for you. Like, zero is a great place to be, especially if you have a lot of debt. But it's not going to allow you. If you need a nest egg, it cost us $30,000 just to set up when we landed. So you need a little bit of a nest egg when you get here, in my opinion, in my experience. And I made sure I had work before I got here. But no, I needed my boss on board. So he was one of the first persons I told, even before we knew if we could do it or not. I got him on board because if he did not agree to me working online, we weren't coming. I maybe would have, you know, if he had not been on board, you know, I probably would have found, maybe, I don't know. He was so supportive. I don't know what I would have done. I would hope I would go find other employment that would be okay with it. But he was so supportive that we really didn't have to go down that road. And I would not have come if I did not have income landing on the ground that I could make. This wasn't going to work. Now let's circle back to me not trusting anybody or anything. If you don't have that sort of thing in place for you already, like I did, like, I mean, that was, what's the word? That was security, right? I had secured employment and it was my employer for the last 12 years. I felt comfortable. I had this security of knowing that I would have income when I got here. If you don't have that, and you want to, like, I know people have done this. They looked before they left. They knew they were leaving, and they were leaving no matter what. And they looked. I had a schedule and procured something. The part I have problems with there, the trust that I lose is, where do you find that job? Like, if it's advertised online, I don't trust that they're not trying to scam me. LinkedIn is terrible. If you Google search jobs, then they're all just crap jobs that most people say aren't worth the trouble. So I would not have been comfortable finding a new job in that way and going and starting out with a new job in Mexico, because there's no security there. Like, what if it turned out to be a scam? What if it turned out the company was a startup and then it went under, or whatever? Like, I needed that security, and I wouldn't have made the move without that security. So that may not be your experience. I don't know. I would, my last 1, 2, 3, 4 jobs, I never went looking for them. They all came looking for me. So how you would go about in this day and age finding legitimate employment, I don't know. I know they're out there. I know people have done it, but because of my trust issues, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. So yeah, I don't have any tips for you on that, honestly. I have left my previous employer. I did not want to work so many hours anymore. And it was through an association of that job that a contractor came to me and said, you know, she's a bookkeeper and has payroll clients. And she says, you know, I don't have a lot of work for you, but, you know, it'd be wonderful if you could be part of my team. But she knew me, she's worked with me. So I'm comfortable working with her. It's a legitimate employment. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Yeah, so I guess those are my tips. You know, and if look for it back home in Canada before you come. Know the source of the work. Is it legitimate? I don't know that there's a lot of companies. Yeah, there's companies, yes, that will allow you to work remotely, but are they comfortable with you working remotely in a whole other country? Unless they know you personally, I don't think so. And I think it would be hard to do it that way. So I don't think I was any help for you, but I did want to address those questions, and maybe it's largely because of my mistrust. So I know I didn't help you, but you understand a little bit of where I came from. So thank you so much. Adios, amigos.